This is the remake of the OG The Blob, the 1988 version of The Blob. I'm in Salad and I saw The Blob. It is written and directed by Chuck Russell. And if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. This was a request by a Patreon. If you'd like to fast track a movie review, patreon.com/ASEPresents. On with the review. This movie starts and we're following a nice little cozy town as they're doing cozy stuff. Of course, we're following teenagers doing teenagers things such as making out in a car, all that fun jazz. But more specifically, we're focusing on this one guy. He's a vagabond, he looks to be homeless, whatever. And he's just hanging out, and he sees this meteorite come from the sky, crash into the ground. And then he goes to the meteorite, and he notices it's a little bit cracked, and takes a stick, pokes at it. Why would you do this? I don't know. But he decides to poke at it, and it attaches to his arm. And then he stumbles upon the road. A couple teenagers take him to the hospital, and then he goes to the hospital. But it turns out that his entire lower body is now eaten. Why did the blob not eat the upper body? I don't know. It seemed like he didn't like the taste, maybe. So he ate his hand, ate his lower body. The nurse comes in. He's like, "What's up with you? Whoa, what happened to your little body?" And then a blob just comes from the ceiling that eats him. So we got a blob epidemic going on. Blobbing all over the place, okay? What's interesting about the blob? It likes to be in the sewers for some reason. The storm drain, which connects to the sewers, which connects to all the drains, I guess. And so, we could follow these teenagers. They decide to go to a place after closing, and they're just chilling out. Man, such a small town where you can just go into a place that's closed, and you can still request a sandwich or something. And it's like amazing, awesome stuff. Wow, I want to be in this town. But of course, we got a dishwasher doing dishwashing things when the blob gets him because the thing's gurgling. By the way, never put your hand in a gurgling drain. I would get away from that. I'd be like, nope, gross. I'm not putting my hand in that drain at all. But he decides to put his hand in the drain to try to unclog it, and the blob gets him and stuffs him through the drain. His entire body mass into the drain, and it's kind of like a garbage disposal. Was that a cat? What is going on outside? There's dogs and cats barking all over the place. This is crazy. Must be the presence of the blob. Oh no, the blob's nearby. I better finish this up. I don't want to get ate by the blob. So anyway, we got the blob. He's got him. He blobbed him up. Slurp. And then these fellows are like, what's going on? Oh god, this is crazy. Something bad's happening. And the blob comes through. And they hide in the freezer, and the blob's trying to get him. But it's too cold. So immediately I'm like, oh, you know what? Stop this blob? Liquid nitrogen. But of course, nobody gets to that conclusion. We don't have two astute people in the fridge, I guess, because they're like, oh my goodness, we're safe in here. Woohoo! Oh my goodness, the blob doesn't want to be near cold. That's the way to defeat the blob. They didn't think that at all. I was like, oh, that's the way to defeat the blob. All right, cool, natural weakness. But nobody decides to hit it with cold. They try to hit it with fire. It doesn't really work. And the blob goes all over the place, eating up all of the people. What's interesting is people don't believe the blob until they see it in front of their eyes. And then we have this whole, I don't know what government facility they are a part of, but it's definitely like a biochemical or biohazard suits going on. And there's walking in and out. And I'm like, bro, those are not going to save you from the blob. You think it's some sort of virus? Bro, it's a blob. And they don't know that they're weak against the blob until they get blobbed up, man. They each get blobbed up. The blob gets bigger and bigger. It's a huge threat. I'm like, oh my goodness, I keep getting blobbed. Ah! And it's not until this freaking chick is like, oh my goodness, there's a couple of cylinders full of liquid nitrogen. What if I just pierced it or got the blob to eat it or whatever? And she does do that. She almost gets exploded upon because she gets caught on some rope on the liquid nitrogen container. But luckily, her boyfriend's there to help. And then the blob gets big explosion. Blob has been blobbed, but the blob is no longer a blob of gelatinousness. It is a blob of very frozen. So I guess, will it stay frozen forever though? That's the question that I have for the blob. Does it stay frozen forever? Man, I was looking at this, I'm like, man, liquid nitrogen. It's normally in a gaseous state. It's in the atmosphere. You have to get it really cold. But how cold do you have to get it in order to make it into a solid state? That's a good question. So he hits it with the liquid nitrogen and it stays like that for forever? Does it do that forever? I mean, if you hit a banana to liquid nitrogen, it just freaking shatters or whatever. But if you left the banana that was dipped in liquid nitrogen out, didn't touch it whatsoever, does it eventually melt? Does it eventually stop being frozen? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what the math is or the chemistry stuff around this is, but the blob is taken care of, and I enjoyed watching this movie. It was a fun time being like, no, the blob's coming, ah! And I did a movie watch along of The Blob, which is available to subscribers on my spicy sites if you want to check that out. And you can see in that, it's just me saying the blob so many times that I'm like, oh man, the blob can't be a word anymore because I've said it so many times. This is a fun experience. I have a few questions, like, why did the science teacher guy keep a piece of the blob? Oh, for another sequel, I guess? Okay, whatever. But I feel like you would not want a piece of the blob because it could eat you and cause more mayhem, but I honestly just think it's a sequel setup. The Blob was a fun time. I don't know what the original is like. Let me know what you think of the original versus the remake. Which one do you think is better? I gotta give this movie a solid 6.9. Nice. Out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one on the platform you like. Set $20 dinos, patreon.com/ASEPresents for one movie review per 1 month. Go to this link tree to support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews. And until next time in Salad Saw, I'll see you later to my salad croutons bacon bits. Oh no, the blob, it's over there. It's gonna get me. Don't want to get blobbed.